You're muted.
Muted.
Okay, I'm gonna mute and let you guys go.
Eleanor, you're ready?
I am ready, and I'm now going to put myself on mute. Go ahead.
Great. As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, Chair of the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Penny Day.
Penny Dye, aye.
Rita Higgins. Oh, she's absent. David Iverson.
Aye.
Reema Sherry.
Aye.
And Charity Grace Mofson will not be joining us. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. State each staff member. Tucker Holland.
Here.
Eleanor Antonietti.
Here.
Okay, we do not have Ken Bogrand today.
Yeah, Ken will be joining for excess.
Okay. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Erin Kopecki.
Aye.
Okay, Julie Fitzgerald, attorney for Torme, is not here at the moment. Rick Bodette, not logged in at the moment. And John Brescher, not logged in at the moment. Forgive me, Florencia Rulo?
Yes. Hi, aye.
Okay, great, and Ann Kuspa.
Aye.
Other members of the public, I believe we have Howard Dickler. And Howard's on mute, and Vanessa Emery.
Oh, nice.
Great, thank you. Introduction, good afternoon. This open meeting of the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials of this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. For this meeting, the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided. Members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, and before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of business to ensure accurate meetings minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone and your microphone when you are not speaking. Please remember to clearly and in any way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any responses, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford the public comment as follows. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call. Thank you for your patience as I read that. I will move to convening the meeting and look for an approval of the agenda, item number 2.
As amended.
Oh, as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Wait, I'm sorry, Dave Iverson, and
And Penny seconded.
thank you.
So I will look for, just by how my screen shows, Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Penny Day.
Penny Dye, aye.
Sorry, twice. In a row.
Spell it D-I-E. Ooh,
We have, let's see, item number 3. I'm looking for approval of minutes from the May 7th meeting.
So moved.
wait, Penny, did you have any?
I had very minor changes and it had to do with punctuation and stuff, so I'm not even going to bring them up.
Okay,
So we have a motion from Reema to,
I will go through and check and see where I missed punctuation and correct that. That's a typographical.
Yeah, I can help you with it. I just didn't have time to do it before the meeting.
Okay,
Reema?
I'd like to, can I amend my motion to approve with punctuation correction to follow?
Second. This is Brooke Moore, second.
And vote by a roll call. Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Penny Dye.
Aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye. Moving on to item number 4, we have a CCAP application for 3A Somerset Road. The applicant, Aaron Kopecki, is here. I have a professional relationship with Aaron's significant other. He works in my office. This is an item that I will recuse myself from discussion. Brooke, can you please take the agenda item?
I can. So Aaron, often we invite the applicant to make comments if you so choose. So I will do that now.
Thank you, Erin Kopecki here. I don't have many comments, but I am just applying for the closing cost assistance program as I am hoping to close on a covenant home mid-July. It was just approved during last night's planning board meeting.
Okay, so any discussion from the board? Raise your hand if so. Do I have a motion from the floor, as it were?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
What is the amount are we doing?
Well,
Let me see.
So the language is typically a
15.
motion to grant up to $15,000 pending the final closing costs with the balance to be returned.
Yep.
Okay. Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
I did. David Iverson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so by roll call, David Iverson,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
and Brooke Moore, aye. Congratulations, Aaron.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Another homeowner, yay.
And a
Thank you,
neighbor.
Brooke.
And a neighbor of mine.
Yeah, right. Right next to you.
Now we'll move to item number 5. We have a couple of subordination approvals for ratification. 3 Friendship Lane for Mr. Torme. This is a previously approved item. And there was, if I understand correctly, I may kick to you, Tucker, but there was a construction loan to have the house set, and they are looking for us to subordinate to the newly issued construction loan.
That's correct. In fact, the board individually has already really executed the paperwork due to a timing constraint by the applicant. So this particular subordination item is really a ratification of the action you've already taken.
And so are you looking for a vote to certify the ratification, or?
Yes, if you could,
You are
simply
ratifying. Your vote would be to ratify action taken.
So I moved that we ratify the signing of the loan subordination that occurred on a prior date.
I'll second.
and all members did sign the document.
So by roll, Brooke,
Aye.
Dave Iverson? You're on mute. We couldn't hear you. Sorry.
My phone was ringing. Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Brian Sullivan? Aye. The second item, Blazing Star Road, Sanders. Tucker, can you update us?
Yeah, I mean, both this item and the one Wapasit Circle are, the action hasn't taken place yet, but they're both seeking the same subordination effectively for refinancing. So the bank simply requires our assent. It's really not changing anything. And there was a form of vote provided, I think, in conjunction with the Saunders application that we would simply ask you to approve for that same form for both of these items.
And we would like to vote on these individually.
Sure.
Okay, so may I have a motion for one Blazing Star Road?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
By roll, Brooke Moore?
Muted.
Muted.
Yep. Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Brian Sullivan? Aye.
Now you need, I'm sorry, just FYI, you also need to have a vote to authorize you to sign the documents.
I'll make that motion as well.
I'll second.
And that motion is to have Brian Sullivan, the chair, sign the documents?
Correct.
Great. Brooke Moore?
Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Brian Sullivan? Aye. Now I'll look for a motion for one Wapasit Circle.
So I move that we approve this, the loan subordination and authorize the chair to sign the document.
Great. And a second?
I'll second.
Second from Reema. Vote by roll. Brooke Moore?
Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan, aye. Okay, thank you. The RFI for properties under Neighborhood First. So I think what we'd like to do is hear an update from Tucker. We can have some conversation, but we're going to continue this until a further meeting or a specially organized meeting specific to this topic, with the hopes of finalizing for our July meeting. Tucker, can you elaborate?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so it's been the intention to issue this following the July meeting as we've gone along here. For several different reasons, we're postponing today's discussion to the July meeting, where we may be able to talk about things in conjunction with other projects that we have going on as well. There are about 4 or 5 different parties that need to have input into this document besides the trust, town council, procurement, MHP, et cetera. And so it's taking a little longer to get the input together that we are going to want to have in terms of a document that we are about ready to publish.
Great. So does anybody by a show of hands want to add any input while Tucker continues that process with any of those groups to bring us back? Okay, not seeing any. Tucker, thank you for the work. We're excited to get that out. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'll move to, we'll keep that on the rolling agenda, and we'll move to the scope of work for the housing production plan.
Yeah, so at the May meeting, we had gone over a sort of a scope of what we might be looking for a consultant to address in the update of the plan. Again, our current housing production plan expires in October of 2021. So, you know, it still has some life to it, if you will. But as we recall the last time, you know, this process can take a bit of time. So getting started sooner rather than later is a good thing. The board will recall when we went out for the prior update, there was a very limited description that the planning director had put out to potential parties to provide this. We kind of expanded on that a bit in the scope that we talked about at the last meeting. We have had an additional party or two identified that this could go out to, in addition to the folks that we spoke about previously. So I can recirculate this and see if anyone has any further thoughts, but I think we would like to send this to the parties that we've identified in hopes of getting a response. I don't know if it'd be realistic to have something for the July meeting or not, but to get this out there and going.
Great. Brooke?
I would like to include something along in the area of diversity and inclusion to the scope of the work.
Okay.
Are there other comments on the packet to be sent out? So I guess I'd look for a motion to authorize Tucker to send these out to the potential parties that have been identified to work with us in the future to see if we can get some bids and estimates back.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And a second from Brooke? Or you have a question, Brooke?
But I'll second for discussion. Tucker, do you have can you just, for the record, state who we're talking about sending it to? Is that?
Sure. So names that we have already identified, the last time that we were seeking someone to do this, it was sent to Judy Barrett, who, you know, did actually end up doing the work. Michael Jacobs and Ted Brovitz. In addition, Jen Goldson is someone that the trust has some familiarity with from the past. Judy had actually brought her in to help with a certain part of the last update, but she would independently be qualified to do this as well. I believe that the Nantucket Data Platform has expressed some interest in looking at this. So those are the parties that we have currently identified, and if there are others that folks feel would be qualified and interested, we certainly could send it to them as well.
Thank you.
What about Kevin McGuire? Was he ever on your radar?
Kevin's really a developer,
Okay.
and yeah, so
He knows so much. You know.
yeah, no, he's a fantastic resource.
Is continued discussion on Brooke's second on the motion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Brooke Moore?
Aye.
Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Oh, you guys moved around on me. Penny Dye?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan, aye. Okay, thank you for that. Now we have item number 8, a communications subcommittee report, and I'll turn to you, Brooke, to lead this as committee member.
Sure. So we had originally talked about hiring an outside firm to do communications work for us, and then we have since learned about some limitations around our website and working through the town platform. And so Tucker and I had a meeting with Florencia Rulo, whose official position is, Florencia, what's your title?
I am the public outreach manager.
Great. And so, and I learned that Florencia has a skill set we didn't know that she has. She's a graphic designer. And so in talking to her, we discovered that a lot of the work that we had hoped to do can be handled in-house. So that was a great thing to find out. She can do things like change the cover photo on our webpage and add buttons and links and sort of have the page look a little different. And we're talking about getting closer to being a one-stop resource for housing information and having a section maybe called are you looking to buy a home? Are you looking to rent a home? Are you looking to help create year-round housing and emergency housing resources? And then have links to resources at all the other housing organizations on island. And then eventually have a resources document that includes information for the affordable units in the private developments like Richmond and Tacoma Green, eventually, and Academy Hill, that are owned privately but have deeded affordable units within them. The Housing Authority, Landmark House for Seniors, et cetera, so that when people think housing, they come to our page, and then they are directed to, sort of filtered and directed to the different housing resources on island. And then one of the other things we had talked about prior is the look and feel of the tourism office's website. It is different, and it is managed technologically somewhat differently from the page we have now. And what Florencia suggested is that we start small, and then that will take some financial investment and resources investment, which can also be handled by the vendor that manages the town website. And so we could do that as a second step to sort of upgrade the look and feel of the page. We also had talked about getting a Facebook account for the trust, and that is something we can do. However, again, Florencia suggested perhaps we start by using the general town Facebook page to push out housing trust related materials, and then see what kind of traction they get, and see if there's a need for us to have our own independent page based on volume and engagement. And Florencia also said she would begin to think about a logo for the trust. She's done some logo work for other town boards and commissions, and is willing to do that for us as well within the scope of her work, which is great. And then the other piece of this that I was working on this week was I met with the crew from the data platforms. Vanessa is here with us. She was in that meeting with me the other day. And the idea was also to link from our page to the data platform dashboard and their report. And we are working together with the folks at the data platform, and I'll be connecting Florencia and the people on the tech side of our website as to how best to create that interface and time it well with other things that the data platform is going to be pushing out to the public, so that there's not confusion about our stuff and another project that they're imminently coming out with. So just to make sure that they get broadcast to the public clearly and distinctly from each other. So that's, and then the data platform is interested in doing some co-marketing on social media of the study and the fact that there's access to it as well. So we'll be looking to coordinate with them. So that's about it.
Penny?
Yeah, I just, I have a comment in terms of affiliation collaboration with the data platform. I think it's very important that it is clear that if we're to do that, that what we're representing is theirs, not ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Any other thoughts or comments? Brooke, a question from me. So kind of moving this forward, is it the intent of the subcommittee to kind of bring these ideas to kind of to vote to the group, or the additions and things you want to add? Will this be a free-flowing subcommittee effort working directly with Florencia?
That's kind of how I envision it. Dave and Reema and I have sort of been on this group. I've been doing some of this research just myself, but I think in terms of deciding on content and finalizing the details of, you know, what goes up on the page, what links we're doing. I did send those guys a written list that I kind of read from today. So we as a subcommittee can approve that. And so maybe a reaffirmation of that authority to do that work would be helpful.
Okay.
Would it be helpful to have us just take a quick look at it collectively before it goes live?
Oh, you mean the page itself?
Yeah, or any, I mean,
Additional content to be added. Do we want to circulate and then vote at a meeting to say, these are the items that we'd like to put forward? To Penny's comment, you know, a footnote on that link may be an important item to add on.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I'm more than happy to submit a list to the group for the July, or if we have a meeting in between.
Great.
On another topic. Sure. To be finalized. That'd be great. Yeah.
Great. Reema, I saw you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just like to, you know, work as a group, definitely. And also note that, you know, we do have some ownership of the data platform study since we funded it. So the data, you know, I guess we'd have to figure that out, who owns the data, but I thought that we did have some kind of ownership of that project.
Or rights of use at the very least, yeah. Dave, did you have a comment?
No, I mean, I think it'd be helpful if everyone saw it before it went live and voted on it. I think any feedback.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm super appreciative of the work that the three of you put into it and kind of how it evolved from the initial to where we are now.
Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke. Florencia,
Yeah.
thank you for jumping in to help us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
To spread the word and get it out there.
You're very welcome. And yeah, I think that Brooke covered it all. It's up to you to decide, to all of you to decide how you want to collect the information. And then I'm the final step. I'll just plug it into the new page, and you already have a page. So basically it will be adding up to that. It'll look a little bit different, but you know, mission, and then however, that's the most important thing, I think, when you think about a page. What's the mission of the group? Who are the members, and what's your goal? Who are you helping? And then the icons and all the other information, it's just easier for me to gather together as long as you give me a clear message of what is it you want there. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll continue the agenda item. Brooke, we'll see something circulated via Eleanor. Appreciate it. And kind of leave this one open and move on to the next. Let me get back to my agenda. How the subsection here on the housing forum, we didn't discuss anything related to that. Dr. Tiffany Manuel. Somebody
Yeah,
wanna-
just quickly, as everyone knows, we originally were planning to do a live event, kind of a day and a half housing forum this summer, and with including Dr. Manuel, and COVID obviously impacted those plans. So we are going to be reconnecting with Dr. Manuel, who, like many folks, are kind of realigning their work to an online format. So Brooke and I will be talking to her on Thursday about how the housing forum might take place in a little different format than originally envisioned. Obviously, likely at a later date than originally thought about.
Okay, great. Thank you. Closing out number 8 on communications, we'll move to number 9, the Housing Nantucket update. CPC coordination.
Yeah, so we just included a brief update here, and Ann, I think, is on the call. The CPC coordination aspect is recently, as you all know, we had submitted to CPC for reimbursement for several projects. As you know, we don't go back to the CPC each time a singular closing cost is awarded and that sort of thing. And so Megan had put together a fairly rich reimbursement recently. And one of the items on the list related to 7 Surfside. You'll all recall that the trust had made a very modest grant to Housing Nantucket that facilitated the 7 Surfside units going onto the SHI list. And so the CPC contacted us last week to simply say that they are trying to get older funds utilized first, and that they've gone ahead and processed our request that is presently before them, but they wanted to make us aware, and Ann and I have talked about it, that Housing Nantucket does have some monies available from prior grants that, at least in the CPC's view, that this particular request we just made might have come out of versus an allocation to the trust. So doesn't change anything for the past, but just sort of going forward, I know that the CPC wanted us all to be aware of that policy or that approach to things. Then with regard to 18 Tacoma, again, Ann and I have talked about this, but in conjunction with CPC reimbursements, there recently had been a little confusion about the unit at 18 Tacoma that the trust had funded with CPC dollars that had been awarded to the trust, about the income limitation on that particular unit. And so, it's all sorted out, but we do want to just make sure that that's correctly recorded and formalized and so forth. Finally, the 175 AMI monitoring, just wanted to update the board that we've been working with Housing Nantucket, who is interested in providing this service for the Richmond units that will become available starting next spring, most likely. But Ann and her team are interested to do this, and we're going to be putting the final touches on that, if you will, in the course of the next month. So it's a quick update, and Anne, I would invite to add anything to this, but we wanted to keep the board in the loop.
If all that was true, and we're just grateful for the previous support that you've given us, and we just like working together. So hope that continues.
Great, thank you, Anne. Tucker, thank you for the update. Hearing no more, does anybody have any comments or thoughts? Hearing no more, we'll look to item number 10, open up to other business. Yes, Tucker?
Yeah, I have one item that literally just was delivered today. The board might remember that there was a program for housing rehabilitation loans that were forgiven over time. It actually originally was administered by Housing Nantucket and then was transitioned to the trust a few years ago. But the idea was really that so long as the owner stayed in place, that these loans were forgiven over a 15-year period. So one of the folks who was a recipient, their loan is now complete, if you will. The 15 years have transpired. And during the time the loan is in effect, there is a lien on the property. And so they would simply like to get the lien released in accordance with the program. So it would be great if the board could authorize the chair to sign anything that may be necessary to formalize that release. And this is in conjunction with Ronnie Roberts' property at 16 Allens Lane.
Thank you, Tucker. Floor is open for discussion on that item. Okay. I guess this is a point of procedure. Eleanor, is this something we can take up at this meeting as an other business for a vote, or do we need to carry this over as an agenda item to the next meeting?
I'm personally never comfortable doing that, but I will defer to Tucker if he's comfortable with it. I just think it's better to have something properly noticed. I realize it came at the last minute. Is it really that time sensitive, or can it wait to July?
I don't think that I asked Ronnie whether she has a refi or something imminent happening that this might be problematic for her. She indicated no. So I think it could wait till July.
I don't mean to be a stickler. I just think it's, if we sort of open up the slippery slope of people coming the day of a meeting and we've had no time to put it on an agenda. This isn't like less than 48 hours notice is something truly urgent. And
yeah, I'm in agreement with Eleanor. I'd love to have this as an agenda item. If there's any continued discussion, we can take it up then. Reema?
And if there is any urgency, I'm willing to, attend a special meeting to take care of it, quickly.
yeah,
if
as long
needed.
as I have 48 hours, I'm good with that.
Okay, great. Yeah, Tucker, if you'd confirm with it's Ronnie that there's no urgency, then we'll wait till July. If there is for any reason, hopefully we can pull a quorum together in 2 days' notice.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm going to check in with town council. I mean, it may not require anything because again, they've met all of the conditions of the original note. But if it does, we'll put it on the July agenda. Okay,
great. Thank you. There was some discussion about meeting times for next month's meeting and shifting. Was there some background on that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Erica, with all of the committees now back in meeting mode and all meetings needing to take place via Zoom, Erica had requested that particularly the meetings that are occurring on the third Tuesday of the month, if there was any flexibility to move to another day, it would definitely be appreciated. This just happens to be a particularly popular meeting date for a number of different committees. I have had a chance to do a little outreach to potential new members of this board and so forth. I think that if the board could discuss alternate times, Wednesdays are particularly good days from Erica's perspective. However, for example, 1 o'clock on Wednesday would not necessarily work for one or two of the folks who may be joining this committee.
Oh, question.
Yes, Penny.
What about if we just went to like the 4th Tuesday instead of the 3rd?
I asked Erica, Tuesdays are generally challenging. There are a couple of meetings that also occur on the 4th Tuesday. I think if this group could come up with some options, and I could do a doodle poll or something like that offline to just see if there's, one or two areas of the week that work for everyone, then we could go back to Erica and, see what is possible. She's asked all of the groups meeting on Tuesday to take a look at this. So maybe there is another group that ends up moving, but, just trying to see what the options are if we have one.
So I'm flexible, and actually Wednesday is better for me than Tuesday usually. So,
Brooke, do you have thoughts?
I just think that we're about to get 2 new members, so that probably it makes sense to, that's going to happen tomorrow. So certainly maybe doing it by, once we have those names confirmed, then we can do the doodle poll thing. Wednesday's fine by me too, but time of day may be an issue for someone if they're working and unable to ditch out in the middle of the afternoon too. So
Dave, do you have any thoughts, notes, comments?
I don't. I mean, the only thing that concerns me about Wednesday maybe is for whoever that select board member is, if they're kind of overwhelmed with the new position and the size of the packets and everything else, that might be tough for them. For myself, I'm flexible. As long as I don't have another meeting with someone else, I'm fine.
And Reema, do you have any thoughts or conflicts?
Thursday afternoon would work for me nicely. Wednesday, I usually have something going on in the afternoon.
Okay. I myself am relatively flexible, either Wednesday or Thursday. Morning could be appealing to me if it wasn't an afternoon meeting, if it was Wednesday. I think you've mentioned that so why don't we look towards sending out a doodle poll that includes times on Wednesday, times on Thursday, and see where we get consensus. Until then, should we be scheduling next month's meeting on the 3rd Tuesday, Penny?
I think we should wait. I think Brooke raises a really good point about the new people being appointed. I mean, they're going to be a third of our group. So why don't we canvass once they're appointed? That's expected to happen tomorrow night, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
So we would send the doodle poll out post appointment.
Okay.
So if we could, why don't we keep our meeting scheduled at Tuesday, July 21st at 1, and then following the new appointments, we'll do a poll, and then we could adjust if necessary.
Great. Excellent. Is there any other
The
business?
21st at 1 is where we're at the moment.
Correct.
Perfect.
1, not to exceed 3 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Seeing no new other business, I would like to open to public comment. We have one member of the public still online. Howard Dickler, if you'd like to make any statements, or Tucker, if you have any.
This is Howard. I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Howard.
Hi, Howard.
thanks for being here.
Tucker, do you have any comments on?
Could I?
Yes, Eleanor.
I'm sorry. I was getting an email from Ken about the Zoom link, and I had to answer him. So I missed how you wrapped up for the meeting? Are we tentatively keeping it for July 21st pending the doodle poll results?
Correct.
Thank you. Sorry.
And Tucker will send out the doodle poll after the appointments to inquire for times on Wednesday and Thursdays. Hearing nothing else about public comment, we'll close that item. Any board comments? Seeing none, I will look for a motion. Oh, Tucker,
Yeah,
under
so
the
Eleanor,
wire on that one.
sorry, Eleanor, so given that we have to log into a new link, we should close this meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then,
You're going to do the usual motion, the Penny will probably make, to go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body and not to return to open session. Boom. And then we adjourn, and then we'll all log off. We'll leave this meeting and go into the other Zoom. And you'll send the recording, I guess, or Florencia is maybe handling that.
Florencia is handling that.
I just have a question. If anything is coming up under the executive session that I should not be present for, how do you want to do that? You want to do it at the beginning or the end?
The end.
Well, yes. So I think we want to, yes, at the end would be great.
And by logging on, I'm not going to see anything that's going to compromise me, am I?
No.
Thank you.
We're already.
Put your face mask over your eyes.
Okay, great. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting and not to reopen. Somebody want to read that?
I'll do it.
So go for it, Penny.
Okay, we'd like to adjourn this meeting, not to reconvene, to go into executive session, or is that two motions? Is it two or one? One. To consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
Is there, so I'm looking for a second.
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 Second from David Iverson, and by roll call. Brooke Moore,
Aye.
David Iverson,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Okay.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye. So now I think everybody should have the link in a recent email from Eleanor so we can all leave this meeting and restart the next. Thanks, everybody.
Tucker sent that one. Okay, I'll see you
Oh.
shortly.
See you in a second.